No, I'm not gonna sing to myself. So yeah, birthday video time, and this is going to be the Q&A, and I'm also shooting this other thing that I may or may not integrate into it depending on how long the Q&A ends up being. Why am I even shooting it? I don't know. It's on a whim. I went to the P.O. box today, grabbed the, what may or may not be the last batch of stuff that I'm receiving from you folks, and yeah, I haven't opened any of it yet, and so yeah, Leon. I'm not going to mention last names just because I don't know how much privacy people wanted to have. Probably cut around a lot. Oh boy. That would be a fez. God. How? Should I? Okay, so I've got the Q&A questions up. Now, I will say that I made no promises about answering all of them. So I have narrowed these down. The only people who had guaranteed answers were my Patreon supporters. They were guaranteed to get an answer to their questions. The ones that I got otherwise, I've gone through them. Some of them I took out. Some of them because they are things that I've answered in other places. Some of them I took out because I honestly didn't have an interesting answer. And even in the case of some of them were interesting questions, I just didn't have a good answer for them. And I trimmed others down, similar questions and various reasons. So if I didn't pick your question, it is nothing personal. And part of it is just trying to fit this into a single video. But God, I preamble too much these days. So here we go. I decided to put this one at the top. Which is your name and preferred pronoun? So my name is Nathaniel. On my published works, it's Vera, because those are written under Vera Wild, which is the name of my other channel. Pronouns, I mean, generally masculine tends to make more sense on this particular channel, but what I tell people is just whatever makes the most sense in your head. When you think of me, whatever pronoun like clicks in your brain, go with that. I won't care. If you could take over Doctor Who as showrunner, what directions or changes would you make and why? What would your version of the show be like, disregarding things like budget, etc.? I actually don't know at this point, because the thing is, truth be told, a lot of the things that I would want to do, Series 11 actually did, with things like no Daleks for a series, mostly self-contained stories, no mystery box series arc. Those were a lot of the things I would have done, which I suppose, given my feelings on Series 11, just goes to show that it's always execution dependent. So at this point, I don't know what I would do because most of the things I would want to do, the latest series did. And has left me, if nothing else, go, okay, even if I came in and did that better than they did, I still feel like we need to step off and do something else. So I don't have a big idea there. What do you think of the Doctor Who spin-off shows, Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, and Class? Which one's your favorite? Well, first of all, I still haven't seen Class. I haven't gotten around to it. I guess it's Torchwood. Torchwood is super uneven, but Children of Earth is great. Whereas Sarah Jane Adventures is pretty good, but is pitched at a much younger age, than I suspect if I had been younger when it aired, I probably would have loved it. But given the age that I was when it airs, I think it's fine, but it's not for me. If you could invite 5 people, dead, alive, real, or fictional, to dinner, who would you invite and why? So I did end up going with all real people, some living, some dead. I have Anais Nin, Douglas Adams, Eddie Izzard, Lindsay Ellis, Neil Gaiman, because I think it would make for an evening's conversation that would be entertaining, humorous, philosophical, just a little bit naughty. So moving along from there, Oh, what kind of music do you like? This one I actually got asked several times, and it comes up in the live streams a lot. I don't have like genres that I'm like, ooh, what's the latest thing going on here? Like I have a couple of artists that I have been following for a long time. People like Weird Al, Pink, Lindsey Sterling, Miracle of Sound for a while now. Queen I quite like, but like it's not. When I go to Spotify, anytime I try and like go, oh, I'll check out this genre today, I end up getting bored with it pretty quick. So my tastes are really kind of all over the place with music. They're not consistently one style of music. There are a couple of things that I'm not big on. I'm not huge on hip hop. Not big on country. And again, not that I think that they're bad. They're just, again, just not for me. What are some of your favorite movies or TV shows that you think do LGBTQ plus representation the right way? I actually don't really have an answer to this one, but it's similar to several other questions that were asked. The thing is that for someone who cares as much about representation as I have, there are very significant portions of LGBTQ plus representation entertainment that I have not taken in because I would have no interest in them if it wasn't for the presence of LGBTQ plus thing. What I mean by that is most movies, TV shows, etc. that deal in that tend to either be dramas or romances, which are two of the general genres I care the least about. I like lasers and superpowers and aliens and fantastical beings, and you just don't see LGBTQ plus people in those as much. So I'm actually a really bad resource for, what is the good stuff. I don't really know because the kind of entertainment I like so rarely includes LGBTQ plus people. And if it does, they're pretty much always background or side characters. So like, I'm just not a great resource. For as much as I like to analyze and pick apart and certainly will take issue with trends. Trying to ask me, well, where's the good stuff? The good stuff's in genres that I don't enjoy, which is really frustrating for me. What are the TV shows you watched as a kid at various ages? Like, say, when you were 5, 10, 15. So when I was 5, it would have been things like He-Man, Thundercats, The Real Ghostbusters was a big one. Also, my grandparents had the Disney Channel, so just Disney cartoons. 10 I was really just kind of digging into video games at that point because I would have had my Super Nintendo, which was really my gaming heyday at that point. 15, I was getting into The Simpsons. The thing is, though, I've never had live TV coming into my home when I was growing up. And even the cartoons that I liked, they were things that my grandmother taped for me off of her cable, and I had these VHSs that she made for me. So like I was out of the loop and I didn't have the ability to just browse around and see what there was. Have you ever had jelly babies? So far, no, I have not. Which Doctor Who companions do you think could have made a good doctor? Do you think the doctors they travel with would have been a good companion? Honestly, and maybe it's partly because we were teased it with the Dr. Donna, I think Donna would have made a really cool companion. And I think Tennant would have been awesome as her sidekick. So there you go. What made you want to be a performer and specifically do burlesque? I kind of fell into burlesque. I mean, I want to be a performer because I enjoy performing. That's just kind of something that I really enjoy doing, and I have since a very young age. I fell into burlesque almost kind of by default because I was trying to make it in drag. I started in Boston, then I was in New York, and I was having trouble for various reasons that aren't worth getting into. And I kind of accidentally stumbled across burlesque and found a couple of things that worked out really well. One being the nature of burlesque and how it is and the expectations of it naturally fit my instincts as a performer way better than the expectations of drag anyways. And also burlesque is like super open to new talent and outsiders, and there's a ton of amateur shows and people are willing, if they've seen you perform, they're willing to take a chance on you. And yeah, worked out really well. I love the burlesque community. If you could visit any fictional world, what would it be? What would you do there? Like, I thought about this, but I keep ever since high school, I keep coming back to this. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I would be researching for the guide. I'd be hitching myself around, bumming lifts, and drinking. As a gender fluid individual, how does that aspect of your identity influence, if at all, your approach to or view on the 13th Doctor? I don't think that it does. I mean, it might be in the back of my head because stuff like that kind of always is, but I don't. It's not part of my active thought process because I don't think of the Doctor as gender fluid. Yes, the Doctor has changed gender, but it wasn't by choice. It wasn't, or at least it hasn't been displayed. As depicted, is basically been depicted as, oh, this regeneration is a woman. Okay. It wasn't a pull towards the feminine. It wasn't a desire or an internal need. So I don't think of the Doctor as a representation of gender fluid or transgender or anything of that nature because that drive to change isn't in there, internally within the character. Which Doctor would you most want to travel with? Probably Smith, because I think I get along with him the best. I am tempted to say Capaldi, but I really worry I would get on his nerves. So, moving along, next thing that I received, let's see what we got here. Oh, before I mention, Dave, I did get your package. I meant to mention this the last couple of live streams. I had trying to explain what it is a little bit weird because this was kind of cool and unique, but yeah, I got it. I feel like I sort of been slacking on making you aware of that. What do we have here? Against Me, the Transgender Dysphoria Blues. I know this wasn't on your list, but this band's music has helped me through a lot. It's okay to say it's from me if you mention the gifts at some point from Dakota Raptor. I'm gonna have to check this out. I am immediately curious, and that's really cool that like the wish list is there as a guide, but people I got a number of things where people send me stuff that was kind of like close to their own hearts, and that's really awesome when that happens. What gave you the inspiration to start doing YouTube? Initially, just to kind of get a monkey off my back, because I'd had a concept for originally it was going to be like a half-hour sitcom, about geeky friends, and then that sort of turned into the shorts that this channel originally was. It was a series of scripted shorts. And I never expected it to go anywhere. I just gotta I need to do this so that it's done and then I can move on and do other stuff. But after it was done, I'm I didn't want the channel to sit there. And so I started doing the rambles to camera then. And then that started coming very naturally to me. And that's just how I've been doing it since. Over on the Vera Wild channel, which is actually older than this one is, that was just wishing to get information and stuff that I thought would be helpful out there for other people. What is your favorite movie? Ghostbusters. The original Ghostbusters. No, I did that one. What are your favorite and least favorite moments from Doctor Who? I could honestly devote lists to these, but some easy ones. The breaking down the wall in Heaven Sent is a top. That's a favorite. Everybody Lives. That's a favorite. From series 1. The Doctor, with River Song's screwdriver, Tennant saved her. That's a favorite. Moments that I really can't stand. The big one being Hellbent, like almost all of it, and then the Rose encouraging the son to go back to his abusive father and talk to him and connect with him at the end of Idiot's Lantern. I completely forgot about that till I did the rewatch, and I'm I hate that. And the Reapers from Father's Day, because Father's Day could have been really good, but I hate those things. What was the first geeky thing you were into? Probably Star Wars. I was kind of raised. I actually don't remember seeing Star Wars for the first time. That's how young it was when my mother showed it to me. Ever consider putting out some Vera Wild merch? I know I would buy it. No, I haven't thought of that because I don't know what the heck it would be. And I don't know if I have the confidence to literally just put my face on merch. I mean, I guess I kind of have because you can get logo T-shirts and it's an artistic rendering. I don't know. That feels different though. I'm not above it. I would, but and that said, there's some gender related stuff that's actually in the merch store for Council of Geeks. Like I did a shirt out of "The nerd is constant, the gender is fluid." So that kind of stuff is available in the merch store on the Teespring merch store. What would be your ideal Dalek story, and how would you take them in a new direction? I keep coming back to the idea of a Dalek Civil War and a Dalek Dr. Light episode where the focus is on, because we've had mention of Dalek concentration camps and things like that. I would love to get a zero in and a focus on normal people caught up in the middle of two warring factions of Daleks, where the Doctor shows up and only is able to save some of the people and is not able to stop the Daleks and what they're doing in that moment. That's sort of the general concept. What are the different ways we can support an awesome creator like you? Well, I mean, the Patreon's the big one. There is the merch store, which I mentioned. You can buy my book. You can buy my play if you're over 18 for the play. You could, and you could, honestly, watching helps. And I think the big thing at this thing is just kind of spreading the word. If I put out something that worked particularly for you, share it with other people. That would be a thing that would be, I think, honestly, possibly the most helpful. Well, that and the Patreon. But I mean, those are the things. And just sticking around and putting up with me. That works. What do you think is the right amount of LGBTQ plus representation in a given piece of media? And actually, this came with a bunch of other similar questions, and various angles of that. But I think the short answer is that there is no formula for how to do good representation. It's always going to be context and specifics dependent. I can't provide you or anyone else this many characters get this number of lines and they have to do this. I can't. There's no mathematical equation for correct representation. I mean, a good baseline is to try and do proportional. So, I talked about this with Harry Potter. LGBTQ plus people are roughly 4% of the population. So if you've got 100 characters, try and have 4 of them be LGBTQ plus. But the big question for me is answered by when there's enough representation that it doesn't have to get justified anymore. So when you no longer have to ask me that question, that's when we've got enough. When are we getting a Hitchhiker's Guide video? Towel Day! I've said this before. Which doctors or doctor actors would you date? I don't think there's any of the doctors I'd actually want to date. I'd love to hang out with them. But actually dating them, I don't know. I mean, Tennant's the most dashing, but he also turns on a dime. I'm not sure I'm up for somebody that volatile. As far as the actors, I would date Capaldi in a hot minute. Oh, yeah. What do you consider to be the best day of your life? I'm going to be a super cheeseball and say the day my daughter was born. All right, time for another one of these. Let's see. I'm trying to be careful with this. No idea what we've got. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That would be the Council of Geeks logo in cross stitch. Oh, wow. Holy cow. Whoa, okay. Oh boy, to call that one unexpected would be an understatement. I was going to send this over Christmas, but real life got in the way. I mean, oh, jeez. I can imagine this took a bit of time, a bit of work. Anyway, I hope you have a very happy birthday. May the rest of your year be filled with love, happiness, and good things. All the best. Oh, dang. You people are awesome. This is amazing. What is your favorite and least favorite classic Who story so far? Favorite classic Who story is City of Death. Least favorite so far is, I think it's The Two Doctors. I'm not sure that that's actually the worst one I've seen, but it's the one that was the hardest for me to have to watch. Could you please take off the hat? Sure. We can do that. Do you think it's better for Doctor Who to do more single episode adventures or more two-part stories? I think a healthy mix is good, because I don't think one is inherently better than another. I mean, there's nothing like a good two-parter, but the problem is when two-parters are bad, it's that much longer, you're stuck with something that's not working. So I don't think one is inherently better than the other, and there are amazing standalone episodes as well. I mean, Blink's kind of the quintessential one, but even though it builds off of what came before and kind of ends on a cliffhanger, I still personally consider Heaven Sent to be a largely standalone story. So, and Vincent and the Doctor, that's another standalone one. I don't think there is an inherently more or less value with either a single episode or two-part story. Has reducing the amount of videos you do per week, is that helping the channel or you personally? Ideally, both. The hope is that not having to have a video every day is going to give me the opportunity to, not with every single video I put out, but every now and then get more ambitious and try things that are a little bit more intensive work for me, usually on the editing end of things. So it has freed me up and made me able to do that. And it is my hope that my ability to put more time into some of these will help the channel. So far, at the very least, I can say it hasn't hurt anything. I haven't had numbers for views or subscribers or anything else drop since stopping doing the daily videos. Any more collaborations with Stu Bagfull planned? Not specific ones, but yeah, I would really love to collaborate with Stu again. If you were to end Doctor Who anywhere in the existing show, tweaking the episode a little to make it work, where would it be? The Doctor falls. I think having the Doctor die for good in a story, where he has that shouting at the Master, just be kind. I do it because it's right. I don't do it because it works, because it almost never does. I think that would have been a powerful point to end on. I'm not saying the show should have ended there. I'm glad it didn't. But yeah, that would have been a strong end. What is your deathbed movie? So this is like the last movie I'd want to see before I die. And the thing is, I thought really hard and I couldn't come up with a movie. But there's a Black Mirror episode, San Junipero. That would be my deathbed viewing. What's a show you've always wanted to watch but haven't had the time to see yet? Do you want the list? Oh, man, off the top of my head, Supernatural, Battlestar Galactica, Avatar The Last Airbender, Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, Adventure Time. Like, the list goes on and on and on and on. It feels like I'm always adding more things to the list of shows that I would like to see, and just, I never find the time. What LGBTQ plus topics do you have planned for the future? Well, I'm the specific ones that I've got planned, right? I mean, I've got a lot of, I've got a list of spitball ideas. The ones that I know are going to happen and that I have specifically planned out are going to be my own personal favorite films that include LGBTQ plus representation, talking about bisexual representation and bisexual erasure, and the bury your gays trope. Those are the next few that I am working on. I'm not going to promise what order those happen in, but that's the plan. If you had to pick, this one was fun. If you had to pick an actor who played Batman to play the Doctor, who would it be? Also, if you had to pick an actor who played the Doctor to play Batman, who would it be? So, for a Batman actor to play the Doctor, Adam West. Oh, really? Think about it. As for a Doctor actor to play Batman, I'm going to go slightly obscure and possibly shouldn't count, but I'm going to do it anyway, Richard E. Grant. If you had to be bitten and therefore become yourself a vampire or werewolf with all their respective powers, abilities, and weaknesses, the standard ones, which would you rather become and why? I'm inclined to say vampire, just because I don't like the idea of such a loss of control that comes with the whole werewolf thing. Then again, while I think there's bigger potential to do a lot of damage in Werewolf. I think if I could just get myself locked up, and if it is reliably cycled to the moon, that's probably a better way for me to not ever hurt anybody. Whereas Vampire, I actually am kind of required to. And the workarounds in fiction, like, oh, we'll rob the blood bank. Yeah, like sounds good on paper. How do you do that? I don't know how you do that. So yeah, probably Werewolf. Which lines or phrases from Doctor Who do you use in your daily life? I'm not sure how much I do. Like, I kind of got out of the habit, like, back around college and slightly after. I got out of the habit of quoting things from my geeky loves because people kept not getting it and looking at me like I was weird, so I just kind of broke the habit. That said, there is a Doctor Who line that, like, I do try and keep in the back of my head, and I kind of use a little bit as a guiding principle. It's from a big Finnish story called The Holy Terror, and it's the Sixth Doctor, and he says, "It doesn't matter towards whom the cruelty is directed, the cruelty itself is wrong." And I try very hard to keep that one in mind. Your favorite superhero and supervillain? Spider-Man, Mystique. Any guilty pleasure TV shows, or just any show you like, even though you know they're bad? I mean, I don't really do the guilty pleasure thing, and so bad it's good isn't like really my bag. I mean, I will admit that Gotham is pretty ridiculous. There was a point in time when I used to watch Jersey Shore. I actually got paid to write about Jersey Shore in articles that you can't find anymore because it was part of Yahoo's contributor system, which they completely disabled and wiped all of the articles. You have to go to the Wayback Machine to find this stuff if you even can. But yeah, I used to. I was gonna say make a living. I got paid chump change, but I did used to professionally write about Jersey Shore. Oh boy. That's a skeleton in my closet. Have you ever thought about writing a book either about Doctor Who itself or its universe? See, I'm not sure if they're asking like a book about like the show and like the philosophy of the show or whatever, which like just requires way more research than I feel I would ever be equipped to do very well. Or if they're asking if I would write a piece of fiction set in that, which if they ever commissioned me to do it, I would do in a heartbeat. But for fun, no, because if I'm going to sink that much time into something, I want to be able to publish it. Ego. Okay, next up, from Australia, I do not envy you the postage. Having had to mail some things to overseas locations, it adds up quickly. Let's see what we got here. Dear Nathaniel, happiest of birthdays to you. I hope you have an absolutely awesome day. Get spoiled and eat cake. I really love your channel. I think you're awesome. Apologies that this isn't actually... It's because the envelope had a seal on it, so it says, apologies that this isn't actually a Hogwarts letter, but hey, it's nice writing paper. Much love. It's also got Hogwarts seal on the card, which is very cool. I gotta like get a I don't know, something to store physical correspondence in, because right now they're just kind of in a pile, and I gotta get organization in my life going on here. What do we got? I see the green, so I know we got. Okay, so we've got Slytherin pen, pencil. It's got logo, and ooh, hello. There's sequins. Oh. Oh. Whoop. Okay, that's getting worn next Harry Potter video. Oh, that feels comfortable as heck too. What else we got? Slytherin journal. I've gotten a couple of journals. I got this and I got the fairy one, which I showed at the last live stream. I've gotta start using journals more, because like I have been writing a lot lately, but usually I just write, type it out. I need to start making use of the notebooks more. I used to be better about it. Because I don't want these to sit around. These are awesome. Of all the MCU movies, have you ever seen one that was outright bad? I don't think so. The worst they've been for me is either boring or frustrating. And I've got kind of the trifecta for that, which is Thor: The Dark World, Iron Man 2, and Ant-Man and the Wasp. What country would you most like to visit and why? If I could go with someone I knew who spoke the language, I'd like to go to Japan. France would also be very cool. But I mean, classic Americans. I can't speak anything besides English, and I don't have a lot of things that set off anxiety. But the idea of being in a country where I can't speak the language is that sets off anxiety. I went to the Montreal Burlesque Festival a little over a year and a half ago, and Montreal is heavily French speaking, and most of the people could speak English too, but it was obviously their second language, and just that threw me off. That's just Canada. Do you think it's necessary to adapt a book or comic faithfully to the big screen? Not only do I not think it's necessary, I think there have been movies in recent years that have been flat out hurt by how slavishly they have stuck to the original work. So I ought to devote it, the Watchmen movie's my go-to example of that. But I do think there are projects that have been actively harmed by how close they stuck to the source material. What do you think of the Punisher movies? Dolph Lundgren, Thomas Jane, Ray Stevenson. I actually haven't seen the Dolph Lundgren one as of this recording. It's been on my to-do list for ages. The Thomas Jane one, it's not a great Punisher movie, but it's a pretty good revenge movie. And I actually really like Punisher Warzone. I think Ray Stevenson's the best Punisher we've had so far. Do you know your Myers-Briggs type? I don't. I think I knew at one point, maybe 15 years ago, but I don't remember. What are your favorite 90s comedies? The last one that spoke to you while you were a teenager? Probably Dogma. The thing is, most 90s comedies have aged really badly, and even at the time, in the 90s, I was much more likely to watch old Mel Brooks or Monty Python than I was the new comedies of the age. Do you watch or read mysteries at all? Sort of, not as a genre, but I like things with mystery elements. It's a little bit, I'm kind of the same way with horror. I will usually not seek out horror stories, but there's horror elements that I do tend to enjoy. Are you neurotypical? The person who asked this made it clear that they themselves were autistic, and they basically were wondering if I had any atypical neurological things going on, and I have ADD, which is something that I'll probably devote a video on at some point down the line. But yeah, I don't have a 100% standard functioning brain, which, boy, people probably could have guessed that. Who was the first person you came out to, and how did you do it? First person I came out to basically caught me. Okay, I'm trying to think of the short version of this story. So my daughter's mother, we dated in college, and at that point I had not come out to anybody. I didn't really have an understanding of myself as gender fluid at that point. I was just identifying as a cross-dresser. And I went to work, I think, because I was shelving books at Barnes & Noble in the morning, and I came back and she had hung out in my dorm waiting for me to come back, and I came back and she had found a pair of pantyhose and kind of confronted me with them and said, "Whose are these?" thinking they were another woman's, and realizing she was already mad at me, figuring I had nothing to lose, I kind of shrugged and went, "Those are mine." And she kind of looked at them, looked at me, and went, "Oh, well, that's okay then." So that was the first person I came out to. I do enjoy sharing that story. You've published an advice book and a play, and you've mentioned working on novels. Is there a literary form you prefer working in? I'm probably most at ease working in either stage play or screenplay format, just because, writing, working on novels, which I am still doing. The stuff that's hardest for me is describing things. Dialogue comes very natural to me, and bullet pointing this, then this, then this, and then just sort of presenting it and leaving it to a director to decide exactly how that's going to look. That that just flows better for me. Were you aware you had a group of fans in France? I was not. It's funny to me where some of you folks are located. It's very cool. On a scale of 1 being Hartnell, 10 being Tennant, how would you rank the Doctor Who TV movie? Well, they clarified that John Hurt counts as a half, so I guess I would rank it as a Davison and a Hurt. You seem to have a considerable amount of art in your home. Do you have a favorite artist? Yes, my favorite artist is Yoshitaka Amano, who is best known for doing the conceptual and promotional art for the Final Fantasy series. He has this wonderful ethereal quality to his art that I just really find hypnotic. Do you prefer Apple or Android? I have never used an Android device. I stick to Apple because it's what I started on, and I like to stick to what I know. I was wondering what your thoughts on the Conjuring movies are. I've only seen the first Conjuring, and I liked it well enough. I didn't like how over the top the finale got. I wish the finale had been grounded enough that I could have believed it actually happened. Because up until the climax of the thing, it had kept things pretty grounded in a way that I would have been inclined to go, maybe that did happen. But then the climax it overreached and it kind of broke the spell for me a little bit. And so I haven't seen the other ones. And it's good for what it is, but I didn't get sucked in. You have a lot of irons in the fire, writing, dancing, modeling, YouTubing, etc. If you had to restrict yourself to one creative outlet, what would it be and why? I suppose if I could only do one, it would stick to YouTube because it would allow me to still dabble in others. Maybe I wouldn't get to perform on a stage, but I could still shoot a video of a performance number and upload it. I could write sketches and put those together. So YouTube is a broad enough medium that it could allow me to dabble in other stuff. But boy, I really do need to keep my fingers in a lot of pies. How old were you when you discovered your sense of a gender fluid self? I honestly don't know how to answer that. I started intentionally cross-dressing around 10 or 11. And I say that because growing up, the neighbors had daughters and we used to play dress up with their stuff because they were older than me, so I could fit in their stuff, and I would be put in tutus and whatever else, and I thought nothing of it. So consciously cross-dressing was about 10 or 11. Sort of coming to enough of an understanding to realize that I didn't have a desire to transition to a full-time life as a woman. That came in my early 20s. Feeling comfortable with actually calling myself gender fluid as a label, that came in my early 30s. So it's been a journey and it will probably continue to evolve. If you could bring back 3 one-off companions from the modern era of Doctor Who would you choose? Jackson Lake, the engineer from Mummy on the Orient Express. I do not remember his name. And I had Victorian governess version of Clara. Is there any creative form you'd like to be good at but aren't? Yeah, I'd love to be able to play an instrument, and I just don't have the patience or the discipline to ever get good at it. If we got another female master, do you think she should be called Missy again or something else like the Mistress, or just simply called the Master? I definitely don't think if we get another female master again that she should be called Missy. I feel like Missy was very specific to Michelle Gomez's interpretation of the character. That said, if the Master comes back and is a woman again, I would like her to just be called the Master. Because as much as I love Missy, when that moment happened of her being like, well, short for Mistress, I couldn't very well call myself the Master, could I? I remember thinking, why not? Go for it. Come on. This is an interesting one. Curious where this is going. Wrist measurements for wrist cuffs and neck measurements for choker or neck cuff. Okay, well, let's find out. Wrist looks to be about 7.5 inches. And neck. So that's touching about there. About 16. 16 and a half. Really curious where that's going. What's a piece of media you watched with your daughter that you expected to only entertain her, but where you also wound up enjoying it? Actually, the Trolls movie. I was surprised how much I enjoyed that. I love the sort of fuzzy felt aesthetic to it. I like how sort of weirdly cruel the world it takes place in, and I like some of the songs. So yeah, I expected that to be painful for me. And it's not like a great film, but no, I liked it pretty well. What is your favorite food? Homemade macaroni and cheese. You said you're a dog person. Do you have a favorite breed? Nostalgically, it's going to be either Dachshunds or Bulldogs because I've had both and loved both. If you could pair any two people up with each other in the MCU in a hero sidekick kind of way, what do you think would be a fun pair? I think either Spidey and Doctor Strange, which is a fun pairing in the comics when it happens, and Valkyrie and whatever the heck Kat Dennings' character's name was. Last thing that I've got today, and that, like I said, more stuff may or may not be arriving at later times. And that stuff will probably get mentioned on live streams. So let's... Oh, God, Nick. Good man. And I don't feel bad mentioning his name because his name has come up a few times, and deservedly so. And he was an extra on Doctor Who once. Nick's a good guy. Birthday greetings from the Bark side. Thanks for the great work. Happy birthday. Best wishes, Mr. Adipose, because that was the episode he was in. God, it's been a while since I mentioned this. If you watch Partners in Crime, when there's like all these cutaways of people like starting to be like, oh, because the adipose is activating, there's a guy like standing at a bar who's kind of like, oh, that's Nick, which makes me very happy. Okay, so yes, we have Christmas patterned, which again, I ain't gonna judge. If it's what you've got, that's totally fine by me. Okay. Ooh. Jeez, really wrapped around it. What? Oh, dang. Okay, so we have Batman Femme Fatales, we have Batgirl, we've got Harley Quinn, and we've got Poison Ivy. Oh, man. I gotta rearrange the shelf. These are good problems to have. So, oh, man. A couple more questions, then we'll wrap this one up. Oh, nice. Do you think one-and-done comics issues can still be sold and marketed properly? I don't know if they can. I feel like the death of the drugstore spinner rack was kind of... The fact that those don't exist anymore makes one-and-done storytelling just not as sustainable as it was anymore, or as appealing, because that was the market that those were good for, and that market doesn't exist now. What are some of your favorite video games? Final Fantasy VI, Secret of Mana, Journey, trying to think, Final Fantasy Tactics, Super Metroid. Those are some of the big ones off the top of my head. There's a lot that I like. Tetris Attack. Are you planning to attend any Comic-Con panel this year anywhere? I'm probably going to go to Terrificon in Connecticut. I haven't locked that down 100% yet, but that's looking pretty strong at this point. I'm in school and get crap loads of homework. Any tips on how to keep a consistent schedule? No. I'm actually really bad at it. I'm not a good planner, and I honestly don't know how I've been able to keep this up consistently. You don't want tips from me. I don't have them. So that's going to wrap this up, folks. You were awesome, with stuff and questions and watching and listening and being the council. There's all the links. There's stuff. I'm sure I'm going to have a great birthday. Obviously, I'm recording this slightly in advance of that, but I'm feeling good right now, and you folks are a big part of that. So thanks a lot. All the links down below, usual stuff, the spiel. And the reason you know it is because you're the council. I just run the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned.